Hello, Big Brother fans. Episode 10 review. So we open up with Caitlin using the veto, and Jeremy is up. So Aaron says that she is going to kiss a little butt if that's what it's going to take, so that she doesn't have to go home. So they show all the different people that she's in with, and giving her little false little spiels with Helen saying that people were saying, oh, I can't believe that you're leaving your kids for 3 months. Oh, I couldn't believe anyone saying that to me. You've been like perfect since you've been here. Huh? That didn't make any sense whatsoever. But whatever, Aaron, if you think that's what's going to make you get back in with the crowd. I mean, a little too little, a little too late. That's all I have to say. And Jeremy thinks that by showing his softer side, that he would gain favor with the house guests. So he decides that he's going to dress as a baby. And then he tried to make an alliance with McCrae and Amanda. And basically telling each and every person in the house, if you let me stay here for another week, you will own me in this game. That only works if you do it for one person and you're for real. I mean, so what? You're going to be everyone's bitch? I don't think so. Not too good. And plus, I don't know that I'd believe him. Erin decides to lighten up and trying to be fun, and she's trying to work her magic. But like I said, it's like you've already made your bed. It's time that you lay in it. I think that when you come in and you play an even keel game, and when you get in HOH or in a power position, that it is always not best not to allow yourself to become big-headed and allow that power to to take over, because people just don't dig it, and you can only be the HOH for 1 week, and then the next week there is no chance, you know what I mean? And so you have to keep that even keel, and she didn't do a very good job at it. And, her HOH kind of went to because of the MVP. This, of course, after she's kissing everybody's butt, she says that the reason that they were nominated is because because he's a good player, but because they were cute. Seriously, does she really? I mean, it's like this isn't high school, basically, and thinking that you're being voted out because you're cute. Yeah. Then we went and moved on into Gina Marie's obsession and / fatal attraction for Nick. Seriously, that was some crazy stuff. She hoarded things that he left behind, and other weird things like his box of cereal, and then his cup and his hat and his glasses, and she had it like set up like kind of like a shrine on top of one of the dressers, and they decide that the group decides that they're going to play a practical joke on her. Unfortunately, it kind of backfired. She was still kind of crazy about with the crying after he left, and she noticed that his cup was missing, and she went a little mental. She started crying and left, and of course Amanda, she's like, I'm not mean, I can't, she can't be sad, so I'm gonna go tell her I found it, or go give it back to her. And Erin is like, no, you're gonna make it worse, and she's like, I can't do that. And so she didn't want to be called out on it, but Amanda went and got her and told her, come on, it was just a practical joke. I'm sorry. It backfired. It went wrong. It was supposed to, we were all supposed to laugh, And as she's walking her back into the room, Aaron leaves and says, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. And Amanda was like, listen, we all had a hand in it. seriously, the girl is just so immature. She's still at that high school level where, those, yeah, those girls. Thankfully, I never really knew many of them. Jeremy continued on with his campaign, and I do have to say, even like Helen said, you can't fault the guy for continuing to campaign, even though, there's really, he had like an ice cube shot in hell of surviving this week. But, I think that it would not have been him if he had just, said, okay, I'll take it, and just live with it. No, he had to continue to try, and he made valid attempts, truly, So then Julie comes in and talks to the house guest. Oh, and I forgot to mention, she looked spiffy in that dress, very pretty. So she was back on point again this week. I wasn't a fan of the last week's pantsuit, wasn't a fan of the blue, but she was looking pretty, and her hair looked pretty today too. She had a curly curl, unlike my humid, attacked hair today. So she talked to the house guest, and she asked Alyssa how it felt not being on the block, and she was, so happy and thankful. And then she asked Candace about the bed flip, and she said, in the spirit of moving on, I've forgiven. I don't know how true that is, considering the fact that I just heard her today say that she just doesn't deal with the girl. She, doesn't talk to her, whatever. And it's kind of true when I do tune in and I watch the feeds. I don't see them interacting at all. Then she talked to Caitlin about, how hard was it, using the veto and getting Jeremy put up in her spot. And she said, it was rough, but this too shall pass. And then she asked Howard about his religion, and and then he talked about the lies and it being a game, and he came clean, and now he feels a lot better since coming out about it. And then the next segment we had was the weird Amanda and McCrae relationship, and spoke to the parents of both, and I have to say they are quite enjoyable. They're just really cute with one another. And I also have to, at this point, say that, maybe I'll add it when I wrap up with Jeremy at the end here. Then, Julie leaves us with how America is going to have more power than ever before. Dum, dum, dum! So we come back and we have, just before the live vote, we allow each person to have their piece. And I think that we really seriously need to start getting rid of this, because basically what it's become is just they're, thanking people who, most times aren't even in the house. And it doesn't become a plea to the people who are voting, because people already have their decision made, So I think that they need to just do away with that portion of this. And I felt that this way for some time now, because it just it doesn't make any sense. I could understand if Jeremy went up there and said, listen, Erin's a racist, a biatch, do you really want her here continuing to antagonize you and flip your bed, Candace? He needed to incite people at that point in time. He needed to get people thinking. The ones that do that, it's like right on. I think, didn't Dan do it last season? Every time whenever he got put up. So it's like, people need to start realizing that it's not a format for you to just stand up and say, and I really want to thank my family for being, behind me and supporting me in this. And I really want to thank, my best girlfriend in the whole world. We don't want to hear about your best girlfriend in the whole world, Spencer. We don't want to hear about your supportive family, Erin. So we go on to the live vote, and we have everyone except for Caitlin voting for Jeremy, and Caitlin voted for Spencer. So with a vote of 9-1, Jeremy was sent packing. And at first I didn't hear anything. I need to go back and listen, but I didn't hear an audience, and I was like, oh my God. So my heart started beating, because he spoke about it on the feeds where he was hoping that at some point he'd be brought back, and I was thinking, oh my god, there's no audience there because they're going to sequester him and they're going to keep him there and they're going to introduce him back into the game in like 5 weeks. And I'm like, please God, please don't let it be, please, but you know what, when he did do his exit interview, he was quite humble, and he has stated that if he did come back into the house, he wouldn't play the way he came in playing. Of course, hindsight is 2020, and I don't know if he was given the chance if he'd do it the same way, but it would, I have to say, it would kind of be interesting to see him back in, but I really don't want him to, because I think that if he ever got in there, I tell you, I think at the point that he would be reintroduced, I think there would be a lot of people jumping on the Jeremy ship, to want to be in alliance with him, because I think that at that point they realized that they wouldn't have a shot in, hell, unless they did start drinking the Jeremy Kool-Aid. Anyway, he stated that he thinks that he didn't feel like he came across as a bully, but he feels that it's his appearance, with the tattoos and his size. He's 6'5", so he is a really, really big guy, and I can somewhat agree with that. Helen did point out that he did do the pacing kind of thing to kind of intimidate people and whatnot. And I don't know if it's just that people allowed themselves to be intimidated. I have to personally say I don't think I'd be intimidated at all, to tell you the truth. I mean, because these people need to realize that these people can't touch them. You know what I mean? They can't be touched, well, physically without being ejected from the game. Yeah, he can swipe at you and he'd be out of the game, and he'd get in. He could potentially hurt you or whatever, but I don't know that I'd allow him to intimidate me in a game. But like they say, you never know unless you're in the house. But I could tell from his interactions with Caitlyn that the douchebag that we got to see isn't him in real life. He treated her kindly. He treated her very well. I mean, of course he was an idiot with her sometimes, and he got in his digs or whatever. But I mean, come on, what relationship doesn't have that kind of those digs every now and then, and and whatnot? Keeps you on your toes, But I would say that 95% of the time he treated her like the queen, So I do think that the way he acted in the house was probably part of his game, tactics, whatever, I don't know, but obviously it was a disservice to his game. I did notice that the audience kept really super quiet until they were getting ready to wind down, after the exit interviews and whatnot, and it was cute, like when Caitlyn's goodbye speech came up, he went, aw, and then he, if you paid any attention, I think he said something like, isn't she beautiful? I mean, come on. What real douchebag would say something like that, right? I thought he was going to tear up, to tell you the truth, for a little bit. Caitlyn did cry a tiny bit after he left, just a tiny bit. She's not a psycho crazy bitch like Gina Marie, but hey. Okay, so anyway, we move on to, we get to nominate the third person this week, and so they say it will be revealed on Wednesday. However, because this person has to be allowed to play in the POV, I will be here Saturday and I will be telling you who we voted as our person, as us being the one who wielded the MVP this week. They stated that the HOH cannot be nominated, so Judd was out of the running. So I don't know why I guess they had to put up the number, the number at the end. So just remember, don't vote for number 10, Judd, because he's not eligible. And the two people who are going to be nominated by him tomorrow, I will be here and telling you who he's nominated. Those people cannot also be used for the MVP. So if either Judd or the two people that are going to be thrown up are going to be the one with the highest votes, they are going to take the next one after that. So I don't think that Judd really is going to be nominated. He's a really good guy. Probably we haven't seen a whole lot of him this season. he, in my opinion, watching as much of the feeds as I have watched, is probably one of the most solid stand-up guys there. I don't know that I've seen him lie yet. He has not been unkind, unless someone has been unkind to him. He did have one outburst that I witnessed, and it was just in a reaction when they tried to take their beds, and I think they called him something, and he called them trash, and that was the extent of his being mean. At this point, if he won, I'd be a happy person. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. So anyway, the votes, all the numbers were already up, and by the time you watch this, you probably already know, and we probably already have voted. But number 1 was Aaron, 2 Amanda, 3 Andy, 4 Candace, 5 Gina Marie, 6 Alyssa, 7 Helen, 8 Howie, 9 Jesse, number 10 Judd is out of the running, 10 is Caitlin, 12 is McCrae, and 13 is Spencer. We move on to the HOH. Sorry, this is going to be the longest one ever. It was called BB Royalty, and America, we voted on these titles and the choices, and there were going to be 2 guests, and I won't run through all of that because it will extend this video way too long. But in the long run, there was a tiebreaker, and it was a 3-way tie between Candace, McCrae, and Judd, and they were going to break it with a number, and the closest to the number without going over won. And the question was, in the game of Scary Dairy, how many gallons of milk did it take to fill all 3 vats that they had to put into each buckets, and the total was 1,167 gallons, and Judd was the winner of the HOH, and he was so happy. This is a side note, watching the feeds, he was told that since he's HOH and he got his key before midnight, he was told because he's HOH that he can go ahead and eat because he's a have-not, right? And him, like I said, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good old boy. He decided that he was just going to wait until midnight with all the other have-nots, and then he would eat. And then he told the people who were haves that they could go ahead and eat his treats, his goodies from his goodie basket. I can't believe them halfas attacked it. Seriously, it's like, really? He says he's going to wait for the other have-nots, and you attack his basket? That's just crude, rude, and barbaric. See you guys tomorrow.